Good morning, fam! Welcome back to Erica's EDC. Today we are going over some of my favorite blade shapes, knife models, whatever you want to call them, currently. I wanted to update that. Okay, I need to get better at this. I need to turn these off. I wanted to do an updated list of my favorite knives that I've been using recently and tell you what I'm using them for, basically. Of course, we just woke up. I am still drinking my coffee, so we may be a little bit slow, but this is the only time I have to make a video, so bear with me. Let's just relax and talk knives, right? Everybody loves that. Okay, so let's go over the more rugged, like hard use knives first, because yes, surprisingly, I am still using them, not at my day job, but at home, living out in the woods, you find shit to use them for. So, probably no surprise here, but still using the 940 from Benchmade. And I am going to bring in the Emerson Mini A100 with this as well, because they've always kind of been not twins, but brothers for me. I've always used these to the same capacity for the same tasks, and they are very similar in my opinion, and I've been saying that for years and years now, and my opinion just has not really changed. These are very similar to me. If I know that I'm going to be doing some interesting tasks throughout the day, either one of these will suffice, whichever one I grab. So the cool thing about these is that, in my opinion, for me, they're more multi-tool, multi-purpose utility blades, because they are very thick stock. They're not thin and slicey. They are in steel that is very flexible and forgiving. We have S30V on the 940. We have 154 cm on the Mini A100. So these are steels that will kind of dent and roll on you as opposed to chip out if you hit something that you're not supposed to during your usage, like a staple or a nail, something hard. So both of these I have used very thoroughly in tasks aside from cutting. If you go to the Use Your Shit playlist, there are videos that I recorded myself doing really silly things with these, and they just didn't, break. Construction work with this one. I uploaded a video before we moved to this new location of me using this as a wood chisel on some plywood. You can just really be on them and they don't fail. And someone the other day took a lot of time out of their day to comment on the Emerson Mini A100 video to try and prove me wrong that this is like not a hard use knife and not worth the money. Number one, you're wrong, of course, but number two, they used the Mini Adamas from Benchmade as a comparable, better option, and it's just like, no, don't you realize, like, the Mini Adamas, the lock failure just, like, null and voids everything? Like, I literally have a video of me using this Mini A100 as a wood chisel and hammering the back of this with a hammer, and the lock didn't fail, and I've done tasks putting more pressure on the blade too, and the lock also didn't fail. And the Mini Adamas, if you do stuff like that, the lock fails. Also, the crew wear is going to chip out way faster than the 154 cm. No, the crew wear is going to chip out, and the 154 cm is not. This will roll. This is not going to chip. So, people are so done with, like, S30V, 154 cm, VG10, all of those, like, softer steels. Guys, they definitely still have their place. If you're someone like me who uses your knives as multi-tools on occasion, safely, with proper gloves and glasses, right? If we're experimenting, these softer steels, or the steels that are not hardened as much, or chisel edges, etc., these will allow you to do tasks that you cannot do with, like, a very thin and slicey pair of 3, okay? That's my whole point. Every knife has its place. It just depends on what you're using them for. So for me, if I'm wanting a knife that can do everything decently well, this is what I'm grabbing. One of these multi-tool knives. They've just never failed me, okay? And with that type of kind of like hard use design, sharpened pry bar type deal, the Kyle Noseworthy Tradesman has been holding up incredibly well. This one's an 01 tool steel, so again, kind of an outdated steel for a lot of people. However, it definitely still has its place if you're looking for a knife that allows you to do all different types of tasks and you just don't have to worry about it and it's going to roll as opposed to chip. So the other day I used this to break up my dog's turkey necks. They eat a raw food diet, and their turkey necks come in a huge 40-pound box, frozen, and all the necks are frozen together. So I let them like thaw a little bit, and I forgot to bring my BGM Knives little hatchet thing, and this is what I had on me, so I literally used this safely to break up the frozen turkey necks and kind of like stab it in and wiggle, and then, you know, they break apart and you can pull them apart and put them in a bag and bring them home and stuff. And this just had no issue. Zero issues. Because again, it's kind of like that sharpened pry bar type deal. You have a really thick blade stock. It doesn't have a lot of room to thin out. This is incredibly sharp, but the geometry isn't lending it to be super thin and slicey. This is more of a one and done tool. This will cut things very well, but it also can scrape and poke and pry and be a screwdriver and a leverage tool, and it's just not going to break on you, right? So again, every knife, we love all knives. We love them all. They just all have different purposes, and it depends on what your lifestyle is, right? So those have been my go-to hard use knives recently. It hasn't changed. I've been talking about these two in particular for years now, and it just hasn't changed. I'm still rooting for the 940 and the Emerson Mini A100. And this is a newer one, and I just am obsessed with it still. For all around just general use EDC, still really enjoying the Chris Reeve Small Sebenza 31 for just an all-purpose blade, guys, especially in the Magna Cut. I mean, the Magna Cut is absolutely phenomenal. It's worth the extra money, in my opinion, if you want to venture into the world of steel, right? Some of us are in the community just because we love knives. Some of us are steel nerds. This is very well done. The Sebenza is just a knife that I'm always going to appreciate. There are so many little nuances about it and characteristics that are just really a pleasure to slow down and admire. I've always loved the Sebenza. It's still just one of my favorites if I am not doing anything crazy with it and I just want to have a tool that is very useful, that works for me, that isn't going to fail, and just is a pleasure to use, right? This is something that is just very aesthetically pleasing. The hollow grind is incredible. Everything about it is just really, really nice. I don't think that'll ever change. The Sebenza is just always one of my favorites. If I'm looking for a small fixed blade that I want to do anything from food prep with to cutting up boxes at work, BGM Knives Mini Spade, guys. Again, another one that hasn't changed. And this is why knife testing long term is so important, because sometimes your opinions can completely change over time, and then other times you can be rooting for the same knife for, 3-4 years, right? I've been obsessed with the Mini Spade for quite some time now. I have tried other knives. I continuously go back to the Mini Spade, and depending on what I'm doing, I might choose my full flat ground Magna Cut. I might choose my EDC V2 double hollow ground. It depends on what I'm doing, but this one in particular, this will just cut up cardboard for days. And you guys know that at work I process a lot of cardboard and have to cut it up to put it in the dumpster so that it all fits in there, because we get so many packages of dog food and treats and toys. This just sails through without any issues for eternity, because it's a Magna Cut and it's treated pretty high, and it's super thin and slicey. So the Mini Spade, I definitely recommend doing full flat ground over the double hollow if you're looking for like ultimate cutting performance. And again, depending on what you want to experience, you can choose whatever steel you want. He has M4 now, Magna Cut. There's Z-Wear, Nitro V. Guys, I have videos in all of these different steels. I've tested every steel that John offers. So if you go on my Steel Talk playlist, you can watch my reviews on each steel. I have a ton of people constantly being like, can you make a video on this? Can you make a video on this? And they already exist. You got to look at the playlists. So Magna Cut from John is phenomenal. This knife just sails through everything. And again, if you are getting a little nerdy and a little patriotic with the steel, the geometry, and the knife obsession in general, this is something that you should experience. This is just killer. This knife is very thin behind the edge, and this Magna Cut is absolutely awesome. You can get these without this big choil. Just ask for no choil. You can definitely do that, okay? I know some people have an issue with how large that is. Other people love it, but this is a very thin and slicey knife. Very tough, very durable, very sharp. Edge retention is crazy. Full flat ground mini spade from BGM Knives. No, I'm not doing any links down below. You are more than capable of finding these on your own if you listen to my words. Next up is the Case Sodbuster Jr., a knife that I have recently fallen back in love with. I used to use these when I was a kid. I had one of those classic yellow Delrin ones in CV steel my whole childhood. I loved it. Recently got back into the more traditional knives because that is my interest right now. Kind of slowing down with things, but a Sodbuster is something that if I just want to throw like the minimal amount of tools into my pocket, the Sodbuster, again, can do everything from food prep to cutting up boxes to cutting rope, and it literally will do everything. Super thin, super lightweight, love it. This is one that I think will be kind of a knife that I will go to constantly during the summer because it is so lightweight and thin. So when I'm wearing shorts, I think this is just going to be a continuous regular in my pocket. And I recently got Nicole to try one. I gave her my pocket worn one. And at first she didn't really want to use it because she's used to one hand opening, quick, fast knives at her construction job. And I was like, please just try the Sodbuster. Just tell me what you think, because she's in a blue collar field now. And I was really curious to see if something this old in terms of style and design would work for her in such a fast paced, rugged job. And surprisingly, she absolutely loves it. So I got her to try a Sodbuster at her construction job. And she said that it's actually doing, incredibly well. And she loves how thin and slicey it is, how it just melts into her pocket. You don't have to worry about a pocket clip getting snagged on anything. And she said that she has one in true sharp stainless steel. I gave her that pocket worn one, like I said. And she said it is so incredibly sharp and toothy. I put my own edge on that. It is going through all of the materials at work with ease. It is just crazy sharp, super durable, and she said she's not having any issues and she's actually really enjoying it at her job. So for those wondering if you could use this, in a blue-collar field, so far, yes, you actually could. No, this is not locking, so of course you need to be safe and careful with your tasks because it is a slip joint, but as long as you are paying attention and using your knife properly, these apparently do well with all kinds of tasks, which is really cool. So this is definitely a lightweight, awesome option for the warm weather coming up here. This will be great to just throw in the pocket with shorts, weighs nothing, there when you need it. And then the last type of design that I've really enjoyed is these multi-blade traditional knives. So whether it's a Texas Jack or a mini trapper or a medium stockman, something along the lines of this that has multiple blades, I am really, really enjoying. Again, if I'm looking for a super lightweight carry, but I do want options, because for me at least, I do like to have a knife for my food, like cutting up my lunch and my stuff, and keep that more sterile and clean, I guess, and then I want to have like a separate blade for doing all of the yucky tasks. So this offers that, right? I can use one blade for my food, and I can keep this clean and wash it when I'm done with it, and it doesn't have all the germs on it. And then you have a different blade for your utility tasks, cutting open boxes and anything that you don't want to get tape residue in your lunch. That's my point. I don't know. I don't want to cut open a box and have tape all over this and then go cut my apple with it and be eating tape residue. That's just me. I don't know. I'd rather just have two separate blades. So that's my little utility blade. And then this one even has a third one for whatever you want. Backup blade, who knows. But yeah, this has a whole bunch of options for you. And you can designate different tasks to different blades, which is really cool. Super lightweight, melts in your pocket. You don't even know it's there until you need it. You have 3 knives in one. Like, can't really go wrong. So those are some, not all, just some of the knives that I've really been enjoying lately. I enjoy all my knives. I'm just trying to show you guys some that you could try out if you haven't tried out yet. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna like burp. I don't want to burp on camera because that's gross. So, excuse me. We're gross anyway. What am I talking about? I should have just done it. I should have just sent it, right? But anyway, guys, go use your shit. Learn how to sharpen yo knives. Oh, wait a minute. Why am I closing this down? I forgot to mention, I always try to say this when I make a video about the 940 because it's just like a general disclaimer. If you get the 940, lay the edge back to 15 degrees per side. I always want to say that because that is like a key thing that you need to do to make this knife work even better than it already does, especially if you want it to be a little more slicey. Lay the edge back to 15 degrees per side, put a fat bevel on it, a fat, toothy, 600 grit bevel. Look at how thick that is. And this is only at 600 grit. Why? Because we want to keep that tooth that S30V offers, okay? 15 degrees per side. This will slice better, have better edge retention. Do that, please. This thing is crispier than your mom. Listen. Hopefully you can hear that. Literally. So, 15 degrees per side. Please do it, okay? I always want to mention that because that makes this knife work way better. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Also do it with your Sebenza if you want even better performance. Granted, in my opinion, with the MagnaCut, I don't deem that necessary. This just seems to be working much better from factory as is with the convex edge without laying it back because it's MagnaCut and because it's so hard. But if you get a Chris Reeve Small Sebenza 31 in S45 VN blade steel and you want to enhance your slicing performance, 15 degrees per side. I have my small and Cosi at 15 degrees per side, and I have one of my small Sebenzas also at 15 degrees per side. So that's something that I've touched on in many other videos. But yeah, when you're making a little thinner, like when you are moving through material with a thinner blade, essentially, it's obviously going to work better, okay? That's my whole point here. And if you have good steel, treated well, laying that edge back is not going to compromise anything. It's only going to enhance it, okay? So just wanted to tell you guys that because it is important. Yeah, I need to go get ready to go to your mom's house. So I will see you guys on the next video. For real this time. Go use your shit. Learn how to sharpen your knives. And I will see you on the next video. And I love you guys very, very much. Take care.